I like Hubba Bubba grape flavour, but yeah, these
The best.
cans, yeah, the cans like this that are grape, yeah, no good.
Oh, I can't do Hubba Bubba. I've
Oh.
had bad experiences with fucking bubblegum when I was a kid.
Choked on it.
Oh, mate, I just can't get that horrible fucking dusty taste out of my mouth.
I
Ever.
loved it. I fucking loved it. Hubba Bubba tape, purple tape. I'd just take the whole fucking 5 meters and just jam it in my mouth.
The worst one, if you want to talk about dusty, the worst one I always felt was like the fucking scoop full of Milo, just one whole scoop of Milo and put it in your mouth.
Dude, that's rough. You spray it everywhere.
You just fuck it everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember I tried it with cinnamon once. That did not fucking end well.
Fuck, dude. Was that a dare?
Yeah.
Oh, you did a lot of foodie shit as dares when you were younger.
Yeah, dude.
During that jackass time. And
Oh, yeah. Fucking all of it.
I remember a dart hanging out of your fucking leg. Like it was still straight in.
Oh, yeah. It was in the whole barb. The whole
barb. It was up to the weight. I pulled it out of your leg.
Yeah, I remember.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
So, what are we calling you, Mr. X, or?
I don't mind, mate. I haven't really thought of anything apart from like Alex Jones's.
No, I think Bernie Madoff's illegitimate son.
Yeah, that'll do.
Bernie Madoff?
He might well be Bernie Madoff's illegitimate son, but we can't confirm it yet, but we're working on it. It's either Bernie Madoff or Prince Charles.
Isn't there already someone in Australia claiming to be Charles's fucking kid?
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, so Bernie Madoff.
No, Bernie Madoff did a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, Ponzi.
He got rich.
Yeah, there is no rules or anything like that. If you got something to say, you fucking say
it. Yeah. I was just sort of clearing the house out a little bit.
So where are we going to kick this off from tonight, you reckon?
Well, that's a big one, isn't it? I mean, how tuned up is everyone? Like, I'm right up with the modern day things that are going on at the moment. That's my sort of thing.
Okay.
And there's a lot going on, but I don't know.
I've looked into historical conspiracies for years and years and years. You know, probably like 9/11 was probably where, like, you had Pizzagate. You had that naked
Pizzagate.
You had that naked kid climbing out of the fucking Buckingham Palace window when he was like 13.
Yeah, that was a bit of an odd one, wasn't it? That sort of went real fucking quiet.
I mean, you got Prince Andrew.
I was going to say, then this Epstein thing came up, and then Andrew's involved, and now it just looks like that kid climbing out the window fucking adds to it, doesn't it?
I think it all ties in quite easily, if you ask me.
There's a lot of like little signs, and Q was a big thing that sort of kicked a lot of this stuff off for people.
The original QAnon.
Yeah, the original one before all the fucking real altruistic Christians and all that got on board with it, and you know, the fanboys and all that. You know,
and the people that just like to say we are anonymous, they don't know fuck all.
We are Legion.
Oh, did you guys like see the amount of shit that was on YouTube with that stuff?
The QAnon, yeah, like with the anonymous people coming on, and they all have different voices. They all, you know, what was the last one I saw? Was the Ukraine? Like, it was going against the Russians.
Oh, mate, it's been non-stop, pretty much.
I had them all on my Twitter originally, and that sort of started to quieten down when.
When everyone got banned.
Yeah.
Not long after the Wayfair thing. Do you remember that?
See, I haven't been too heavily involved in the Wayfair side of things.
Well, that seems like a fair enough point to start if you want to like start digging down into shit.
The thing is, I want you to explain stuff to me, man. Like it's a case of like all this shit interests me, and I'll never like discredit anything. Like I'll hear like an opinion or like I'll read something and I'm totally open to anything, like because the world is so fucked up at the moment, dude.
Well, this one really like piqued my interest, and I was sort of like around the coalface of. I used to follow this dude called Tommy G. He's pretty big on. He was pretty big on social media, but he started tweeting this shit about this company in America called Wayfair. They're like an IKEA.
Yep.
So you'd get them online and you'd order a cupboard, and it turns out that their website was showing people like Ellen DeGeneres buying cupboards or whatever the fuck it was for like $46,000.
What?
Yeah, but then you dig down into it, and like the name of the cupboard that they gave it was the name of a missing child.
Oh yeah. I have fucking seen things of this, man. I read this somewhere. They're ordering furniture, and it's actually a fucking kid's name, man.
Yeah, a missing kid's name, a missing Mexican kid's name, or
dude. Where the fuck
is a kid made in the furniture, or?
Well, it was probably delivered in the furniture box. Apparently.
Yeah, dude.
Alive or dead, you reckon? Like, you reckon just people trafficking, or?
Yeah, fucking oath.
Yeah. That's where it was sort of leading. It was, you could order certain kids, and it was pretty historical. Like, you go back through the website and this, that, and the other, and not long, I think it was about 9 or 10 hours after it started trending on Twitter, the website reset itself, and everything was sort of back to normal.
Well, didn't they, I was just thinking, because if they're all kids and shit like that, wasn't there a huge issue with like Epstein when they were on Epstein Island and they were doing adrenogland?
Oh, adrenogland, yeah, that's adrenochrome.
Yeah.
Adrenochrome, yeah. Isn't that from kids? Are they just buying these kids in to milk the fucking...
It's supposed to be like produced by a child when you scare them to a certain point. And then you have to harvest it while they're that scared, man.
Mm.
Yeah, it's spot on.
Dude.
There's
apparently
a video floating around.
A kicker high.
Yeah, well, you harvest their blood when the adrenaline is emptying out of their adrenal gland into their blood, and then you feast on their blood, and you're supposed to capture their power.
There's a whole bunch of that sort of shit at Epstein's and that, wasn't there?
Yeah, Tony Podesta was famous for it because there was a video that was available on YouTube, and it started on 4chan and 8chan and all that type of like shit. But there's a video there apparently of him screaming and terrorizing a kid with music and blah 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 and torturing this kid, and then
that like the Clintons' names got dropped in that, Bill and Hillary.
Yeah, with the Frazzlegate. Frazzle drip video. You heard about that one at all? It's all sort of interlinked with that Pizzagate because that was that pizza store.
The Pizzagate's where it sort of kicked off originally, wasn't it?
Well, that's where it piqued a lot of people's interest. Everything
it came to light.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There was a lot of stuff with Epstein before that, particularly when he got arrested and stuff in Miami. Back in I think it was the late 90s. He got arrested in Miami and sentenced, and then he got off and got home detention between the hours of 9 and 5 and all this other shit. So basically he did fuck all. And he
So I've read bits about Epstein where people have claimed that he was a CIA agent and his job was to get compromising footage and videos of high-profile people so that the CIA could like twist their arm to do shit. That's what I read about Epstein.
I don't think you're half wrong. I think he worked for a fucking couple of places. His wife, well, he's not his wife, Ghislaine.
Jizzy.
Yeah. Jizzy, the old Jizzy.
Jizzy Manizzy.
The old mate that's been charged with multiple human trafficking offences to nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you get a charge to trafficking people to nobody? I mean, fuck, it doesn't make sense, but here we are, 2022. But that's the case. Yeah, definitely.
But what's happened to that? Like, you don't hear anything about it, dude.
No, it's gone fuck quiet, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Was it even Prince Andrew fucking walked away with that with just a slap on the wrist? He didn't even get like charged.
No,
what did they say?
He lost his chalet.
Yeah, but that's it.
Chalet in Paris.
Yeah, but apparently his old man is now giving him some powers back. Not his old man, it was his brother.
His brother.
Oh,
yeah.
King Charles. So the Queen stripped it. Queen's dead. Old King Charles is giving him some powers back, apparently.
Yeah, King Charles's best mate's Jimmy Savile.
There you
remember?
go. There you go.
yeah,
Go way
Yeah,
back.
the elder media just admitted that. Oh yeah, he was the biggest paedophile in fucking Britain, a white paedophile at least, in Britain since God knows who, and they only admitted it after he died. You know,
But I mean, I think Prince Charles got bigger issues on himself, like his fingers, man. What the fuck, bro?
The old rubber glove, man.
Here we are.
Yeah. All of his fingers look like thumbs or toes, like the big toe.
It looked like he was
Dude, I
fucking
didn't get
turning.
that far.
You know how it was the princess and the toad? He's just reverting back to his toad form.
Oh,
Jesus, man. He's a special character.
he is, man. So's his brother and his best mate Jimmy Savile. Like, what the fuck?
But it's like, so if you were to go back into a royal family, like, let's say even just 150 years ago, they would have been able to get away with anything they wanted all the time.
Absolutely, mate.
As soon as something came to light, dead. You've just had an accident. You're dead.
Yeah. Oh, mate.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, but
and then
also
your whole family forever is dead.
the socio, like, the time as well didn't have that same social expectations as today, where, you know, where we had, like, the women didn't have rights or anything like that back then.
Oh yeah, but even that, I'm saying, like, it wouldn't have mattered. Like,
Oh, I know that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they were the untouchables back then.
Yeah.
Fucking even, you know, like,
So-
you could. What was it like in the 1700s where you could just, if you didn't like someone, you could just call them a witch and get them burnt at the stake.
oh,
I
that's
reckon
the
it'd be a
thing.
good time.
It's no different to
Dharma
what
would love
they
it.
do to you now. Oh,
Sounds
yeah.
like cancel culture, doesn't it?
It's just, pretty much like a smear campaign, man. They just paint you crazy. Like, I mean, Kanye West isn't, or in my opinion, he's not all there, but a lot of what he says is like, you got to start asking questions, man. But then it's easy for them to just say he's completely crazy, and then everyone believes it, that he's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of my close mates just think that about me sometimes. Like, I'm pretty open about that. I like all the conspiracy stuff like that. It interests me.
That's right.
100%.
I
I
find-
love going down the rabbit hole.
I
Yeah.
find it all interesting.
It just upsets their sensibilities, I think.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like, do I believe every conspiracy I've ever read? Fuck no.
No, absolutely.
But like,
You do-
there's some cracking ones that even if they did come to light or they were true, like, you just sit there and just go, well, what the fuck, man? And conspiracies are only conspiracies until they're proven a fact, yeah? And we've seen
I'm
that
starting
time
to run
and
out
again.
of them, though. I'm starting to run
Yeah.
out of them, though.
Yeah, because
mate,
they're all
you know,
coming
like,
true.
you know, the Biden laptop. I was singing about the Biden laptop about a year ago, and everyone and saying, "I'm like, this is."
Oh, as soon as it
Have
went
you seen
missing,
it?
I was all over the Biden laptop.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, well, there you go. I just dropped a thing today that they're actually investigating it because they've got the power in the Congress. or
Yeah,
whatever.
I saw that. He's actually going like, so the Republicans are going after the entire Biden family.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's an interesting one. Like, if you start
Money
digging down
laundering
into
and
that,
all sorts they're going for.
But of
Dude.
course they are. They just fucking try to paint this picture of Donald Trump being a Russian. Like,
the unfortunate part, unfortunate part for me is they're the ones that are going to get caught.
Mhm.
Every other congressman and this, that, and the other has done the same shit in the past.
oh, I
You look
can't
at, like-
imagine there's any angels, man.
No, third to the presidency, Nancy Pelosi. Like, she has better stock trades than Warren Buffett.
Yeah, and didn't Peter Pelosi just get off of a court case as well?
No, I think, what was it, the Hammergate they're calling it? Like, the dude fucking went in his house with a hammer.
Yeah,
Why is it always gate?
Yeah, I don't know. Pete, because of
because you're opening a book of
The
worms,
Watergate
aren't they?
scandal because of Nixon.
Watergate. That's it. Watergate.
Because of Nixon. But what
Yeah.
was it gate? Like,
Well,
No, I
that was
don't
just, wasn't it actually the Watergate Hotel?
Yes.
It wasn't the Water Hotel, so maybe they just fixed gate onto everything now from that one.
Yeah, it's kind of like a signal.
retarded,
It's a single
What's that
symbol that is
conspiracy?
a political thing.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
All right. I got a couple for you.
Right.
Fluoride in water.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Flat Earth.
Ah, fucking hell. Mate, I've actually had a couple of discussions with some close mates about flat Earth, and
But I still find their points like I'll still
They're
listen
intriguing
to it.
points.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't mean I believe it.
Some of them you can't disprove.
No, I can't physically disprove them, but in my mind, I'm like,
Yeah, but
there's no
if you
way.
were back in the 1700s and some cunt was coming to you going, "Hey man, the world's round," you'd be exactly the same.
Good old Galileo, mate. They fucking locked him up for it.
Doesn't it freak you out sometimes when someone comes up to you and speaks to you about something that they believe that you're like immediately, fuck that, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out, man. One of my balls is round. How are you going to disprove that? Well, you have to handle it, man. You're going to have to handle my balls.
Present them.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Flat Earth, it's definitely not the case.
No way. Can't be.
No, but not with GPS and all that sort of stuff that they've got going on now.
But I can't believe the amount of high profile people that actually do believe the Earth is flat. Like NBA players, there's quite a few NBA players, gridiron players. They're like, and then, I mean they're Americans, but I know there would be plenty of Australians too that are like the Earth is flat.
Mate, there's heaps. There's heaps.
There is heaps.
I'll up that one. I'll raise on that one. Have you heard of Hollow Earth?
Yes. It's with
Antarctica.
The hole in Antarctica leads to a terraria of like where the dinosaurs and shit and aliens or whatever live underneath the core of the between the crust and the mantle and the core or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And that's one of the Ice Age movies, man.
Yeah, and that's based off of that conspiracy.
That's where they reckon Elvis and Michael Jackson and all those are gone, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and they
Michael
said
Jackson. That leads to another one.
There's a couple of spots. There's a couple of spots in Antarctica where you can't even zoom in Google Maps and all that sort of stuff. The layout was incorrect or something like that, and they reckon that there's a runway or a portal in there.
That's because the Nazis got a zombie base in Antarctica or some shit.
Probably.
The Nazis. That's another big one.
Oh, bro, I love the Nazi.
The old Hitler escape. Did he escape to South Africa or Poland? I can't remember which one.
South America.
South America, Argentina. And they saw there was a picture of him as like an 84-year-old, and he looked fucking bang on exactly the same, didn't he?
Yeah, but and they said so that they found a UFO, and then the Nazis built their own UFO. It was in the shape of like a bell, a giant fucking bell.
They actually
there's heaps of Nazi ones, man. I love the Nazi conspiracies.
The old Nazi gold.
Zombies.
The old Nazi gold and missing artworks.
Yeah.
Oh, there's bigger ones than that, boys. There's bigger ones.
Oh, I heard of one. There was a teleportation Nazis, yeah?
Oh, yeah, well, maybe anything's possible with those guys.
They called it like, they stayed in a town, it was like called Shuffle Whiffin or some shit like that. I can't remember it.
The biggest one I heard was, you ever heard of Operation Paperclip?
Yes.
Where they went over there and went behind enemy lines. There's a movie made about it where they tried to extract all the German rocket scientists.
Yep, from the V2 rockets, yep.
Now, the rumour is that they brought back more than just rocket scientists. Because if you're going to escape Nazi Germany, fuck it, I'm bringing you boys along, I'm bringing my family. Anyone's a swinging dick and that can walk, that I can make a plausible excuse for, we're going.
Yep.
And if they want me, then I'm not taking anyone.
Oh, yeah.
If you know what I mean. So I'm assuming that it would have been a lot bigger exercise than they would have bargained for.
Yeah.
Now, these German scientists, we'll call them, because they weren't just rocket engineers, went into places like aviation. So you had the massive blow up of the American, US, NATO, we'll call it, aviation industry, the rocket industry with NASA and stuff like that. The Russians were way ahead of NASA as far as rocket engines goes. The Russians, like, if NASA had Russian rocket engines, the shit would have been heaps different. But in saying that they're saying there's a lot of Germans that come over from Nazi Germany that come over rich, setting up camp,
They
got
did.
themselves into government.
They did. They got paid to come
Defense
across. Yeah.
Yes, NASA, Defense Department, aviation, research, blah 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 blah. And now they've finally infiltrated their way through, and their kids and all that have come through. And yeah, if you want to get right into the queue and like the outskirts of the side of thing, that a lot of the American politicians and whatnot are from that money bank, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
dude.
and like I hate it, but like it or not, the American system and the American way things are done culturally filters down to every sort of country.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the leaders of culture, and culture, as Andrew Breitbart said, that culture's downstream from politics.
And
Sorry,
they're also the
politics
leader
is
in they're also leading the economy as well. So, well, they're the
Yeah.
reason like all your world transactions are all in US dollars and stuff like that. I know BRICS is trying to change that now. They've purchased a lot of gold and
Yeah, well, BRICS is that's why there's the thing going on in Ukraine. If you want to, there's a couple of reasons that's going on why Ukraine is sort of happening at the moment. If you really want to start drilling down into that as well, if you want to go back to like the first Gulf War and the reasons why they had to, well, the first Gulf War was one thing, that was Hussein invading Kuwait. The second one,
bullion.
the weapons of mass destruction one.
Yep.
That's where it all kicks off, because if you start looking at the plans and stuff like that were put in by the Americans, the Australians.
actually started just before that. It started with Gaddafi.
Well, yeah, no, Gaddafi was afterwards, but Gaddafi
was
was
it?
working. Yeah, Gaddafi was working on his
The
African
money.
plan.
Yeah,
he
so
wanted-
was
he wanted-
Saddam as well, though. Saddam was working on the
Yeah.
money as well. He wanted to change so that the American dollar didn't play weight, so he'd pay in gold or whatever currency it was.
Yeah, and if you
And
backed
Gaddafi
your
was much the same as well.
yeah, that's it. If you backed your dollar with gold, that means you had to have that gold in trust.
in restores. Yeah.
Yeah, so you physically had to have that gold in a vault
Yep.
for you to spend that money, so to speak.
Yep.
And the US didn't play by those rules because their central bank, what is it, the Fed they call it?
Yeah, Federal Reserve.
Yeah, it just prints money whenever the fuck it likes.
Yeah.
It does.
So if you go back in
The fractional
before-
banking system is incredible to look at. Like I watched that through Zeitgeist, and I thought that was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
You turn $1 into $4 for every dollar that you print,
Yeah, it's disgusting.
and it's entirely all debt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
And it just keeps going.
So if you go back in time, there were only a couple of countries in the world that weren't funded by the World Bank, and let's have a look at them. First one was Iran, obviously, because the Iranians don't take shit from no cunt. The North Koreans was another one. Convenient that Venezuela was another one.
I believe there was 9 in total that didn't obey by their laws.
Libya was another one.
I think that's only down to like 3 now, isn't it?
Yeah, Russia was
Russia,
another one.
North Korea, and China, isn't it?
China, and guess what the last one was?
Syria.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So-
I've read through all of that. That was fucking fascinating.
Yes.
So since
And-
2000, there was 9 countries. In 2020, there was 3.
Yeah, but that's because America's they're going over and giving them democracy. We're saving you.
It's funny though.
It's the Rothschild system.
Look at every country America has saved, and
That's what I mean.
compare them to before they got saved. It was a lot better country. Like I remember
what I
looking
mean.
at Afghanistan in pictures and that a few years ago, and it was a beautiful country.
Yeah, dude.
Well, before
Knock,
2000.
Knock, knock. We're here to save you.
Yeah.
Well, they had their own issues with fundamentalism in Islam and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't control that.
The
As
difference
much as they
between the
want.
two religions, the Sharia law and sheep.
Yeah, well,
or
those
something.
guys trade in goats and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, they've
fucking,
always
if
followed by
someone
the
says,
Bible.
yeah, but
people do that.
if I come up to you and go, mate, I'll transfer you like $50 into your account, they'll be like, what the fuck?
No, give me a
No,
goat.
no, you give me a goat.
Yeah, give me milk. Give me goat's milk. Give me
If
goat.
I could go back to a time where it was like, yeah, here's half a fucking goat, fucking 24 eggs, 6 loaves of bread, all this shit to fucking serve as your car, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take that shit, motherfucker, and you can fuck off with your car.
I would, but I wouldn't. Have you seen what the Russian bread's like over in Ukraine at the moment? It's pretty much the same as what you would have been eating 100 years ago. It's like harder than a fucking rock, so it doesn't get it like go off.
Yeah, but if you want to keep going there, they built a pipeline from Qatar all the way through southern Iraq up to Syria into Turkey, and then through Greece that was supposed to feed Europe gas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who feeds Russia? Russia feeds Europe with gas now?
Didn't that pipe just have an accident the other week?
No, that was the Nord Stream.
Yeah, that's annoying. It had 2 accidents. Actually, it was
Went
4
bang.
accidents.
Crazy coincidence.
It was 4 accidents.
I heard it was like
Crazy
1,000. It was
coincidence.
something like 1,100 kilos of explosives or something used.
Here's the thing. Do you guys remember that Sheila that got in power in the UK?
Oh, yeah, she wasn't in for very long, was she?
44 days.
Yeah, she gave it back. Didn't want it.
No. She was removed.
That's not fair.
But she did do the Nord Stream thing. The Russians released a thing that came out on 4chan, 8chan, and some...
And Telegram.
And Telegram and a few other fringe organizations. The Russians intercepted a text message between her phone and the phone of either Biden or the White House. And the text message just read, "It's done." And that was 6 hours after the Nord Stream explosions, and then she was removed from power.
We've actually, I've heard that a lot from the Russian side of things.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like the Western media doesn't portray that at all.
No way, man. All the hackers are Russian now, man.
But like, if I did something covertly to fuck another country, I'd be like, booyah! I did it.
You got to think about it. There's only a couple of countries in the world that could have the technology.
Orchestrate that, yeah.
Well, have the technology to do it, and the will.
England.
And Russia is not one of them, because if they wanted to fuck Europe, they'd just turn the tap off.
Exactly. Why would you bomb your own fucking pipe? It means you got to go fix the fucking thing.
That's like some heavy fucking Secret Service fucking bullshit, man.
It's like Navy SEALs, like
but that's what I mean.
Escaping from an
Britain has the best fucking
MI5 boys, and
I reckon they were drones, which makes sense. And the only
like a submarine drone. But I saw that there was photos of shadows just next to the explosion, like a few minutes before the explosion. Looked a bit bigger than a drone.
A shadow? I mean, how deep was it? I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah.
It would obviously be a surface shadow. So, like, obviously, when they were saying boats or something like that, because there was 4 or 5 boats that turned off their radars, their automatic targeting service before they got there.
Could have been a dark person swimming. You don't know. Who knows?
But that could also be something to confuse the waters. I mean, there is no fucking way that I would park my frigate over the top of something I'm going to blow up.
No,
I would park my frigate 100 miles away and get the cunts to swim in.
Yeah,
that's
especially if it's fucking satellite viewed or anything like that. You don't want anything near there.
You know the Russians are watching that shit.
Yeah.
But see, that's what I mean. It's too much coincidence there. Like in that group of events, there's too much coincidence. You could show that to
Liz
anyone.
Truss. Sorry, mate. Liz Truss was her name.
Yeah.
Well, that's right, Trussy.
You could show that to some people, and they'd be like, "No, that's not happening. That's crazy talk." And it's like, are you fucking blind?
Well, Hitler bombed his own fucking. What did he bomb? It started World War II. That's how he got his rise to power.
He bombed his own head with a pistol. He did that at the end.
Yeah.
No, this was at the start. This was right at the very beginning. I think he bombed like a court or something like that, and blamed it on Poland or blamed it on someone.
That's the quickest way to get get your people to hate someone, man.
Well, that's why for America to enter World War II, that's why Pearl Harbor was so important because.
Oh, well, Vietnam was the big one with the what was it called? Where they supposedly attacked a U.S. destroyer in the Gulf of Tonkin.
Yeah, and I mean Iraq was a big one when the World Trade Center fell over by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that all come down to weapons of mass destruction. Do you see how, like, with them, with the media power behind them, and now the media is getting exposed, so they're losing their fucking power. But the media power back then was enough to take a country to war and destroy another country and destroy almost, I think it was 8 million people they fucked up.
But I think
there's no real
difference.
There's no real difference between the US and Iraq and Russia and Ukraine.
Absolutely not. And every time I try and point that out to people, they get upset with me.
And it's stupid because, like, the US was still allowed to compete in the Olympics. They were still allowed to do, go to the G20 summits. They weren't fucking hurdled out of everything. It's like, yeah, if you're gonna do it to one, you got to do it to all.
That's right. People are quick to forget that they dropped 2 nukes in Japan.
Yeah.
The victor writes history.
The only person who used nukes in an active warfare was America.
Yeah. The victor writes history, man.
And I believe
they can tell you any story they want.
The last 60 years, I believe the Americans have started something like 85% or 90% of the wars. Yeah.
Yeah.
They started all of the conflicts.
You just ask anyone who won the Second World War. You ask someone.
Yeah.
I don't think really anyone did they?
No. The Russians did.
Yeah. Oh, actually, one of the best stories out of World War II was the Russian zombies. Did you ever hear that one?
Yeah, I heard that one.
It was a battalion of 100 people, Gav. 100 Russians, and they're on the front lines. And they were against 3,000 Germans. And the 100 Russians won. They gassed them, and they still charged with, like, foaming out of their mouths and all of that sort of stuff. And it just scared the Germans, and they retreated, and then they just kept going.
But those Germans were probably up for 24 days from all the meth that they'd consumed as well.
Yeah, and they weren't really ready for the Russian front.
No. The one that Nazis on the moon. They found a Nazi helmet on the moon, apparently.
No. Come on. You get out on the moon, you're going to wear a fucking helmet.
That's right. That's what it was. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. There's a fucking soldier on the moon wearing a fucking a tin helmet. Get fucked.
Yeah.
And then could you picture an astronaut fully dressed in a fucking astronaut suit with a German helmet on the top of his helmet?
Whoa. You're assimilating here that we actually went to the moon.
Oh, that was what I was leading into. So the moon landing.
Well, you got to assume that space is even real.
Oh, I do believe that.
Have you heard the space is fake thing?
I've heard a lot in relation to quantum physics and physics that they found computer code in the space.
Yeah, there's some fucking wild shit about space is fake too.
Once you start getting into 13th dimensions of mathematics, it starts really repeating itself. And
yeah, it's that whole maths thing is like the string theory. Have you guys watched the latest Joe Rogan? Or not the latest, one of the later ones with
Neil deGrasse?
No,
I was watching the one that he did with the guy from Skeptics. That was only a couple of days ago, like a week ago.
Oh, you're talking about Graham Hancock?
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually had a debate with a skeptic.
Yeah.
And come out looking pretty shiny from it. This is another one. This is a good one. This one. He believes through evidence and stuff like that, and he's got a Netflix thing on at the moment called.
You say Neil deGrasse?
No, not Neil deGrasse. I think Neil deGrasse is a bit of a commercial hack, actually.
Well, he's a commercialized version of science to make kids love it and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a really good knack of explaining complex theories in a simple way.
He's found his niche. That's what it is, man. Yeah.
And Brian Cox is another one, but like with Brian Cox, one thing I found was his explanation of time relativity was fascinating.
Oh, I'm not down it. I just think as you said, you're right, Gav. He's found his niche, and I think
Yeah.
he's protecting his niche, and he's just
That's
doing what
right.
he was doing to make a fucking good living out of
That's
science.
right. He knows it's going to make him money for a long time, so he won't get to the point where he's assumed to be too smart, and he won't dumb it down too much. He'll continue to stay in that fucking lane, I bet you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too with that.
Yep.
But if you watch the later one with Graham Hancock and
I'm trying to think who Graham Hancock is.
he's an investigative reporter, but he's actually. I'm just trying to do a thing in the background here. Sorry about that. He's been on about this. He believes that there's an ancient society that never interacted with humans.
Yep.
I actually believe his philosophy or his theory completely plausible.
Yep.
And he comes into it with a geologist on that podcast. I'll have a look in a minute, so I'm not breaking up my conversation. But yeah, he comes into it with a really reputable geologist, although he's not much reputable now because, along with Graham Hancock, he's been cancelled by the academia because he thinks differently to them.
Yeah.
And same with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, he's found his little thing, and you can imagine that if you're 60 years old, been an archaeologist most of your life, and
it's taken you 50 years to become acknowledged.
Yeah, where you can write books and all that type of stuff. And you're working at a university, you're making about, I don't know, the Australian equivalent, probably about 140 a year. And you don't have to do fuck all.
That's right.
Sounds like the dream.
Yeah,
that's right.
Are you gonna acknowledge, no matter what evidence he produces, someone that's gonna probably or could possibly cost your career or change the direction in your chosen career goes?
Why would you? Why are you asking? Would you compromise the cushy fucking nest you're sitting on to tell the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
I don't believe a lot of people would.
No, there'd be a lot of. I've made it where I am with 20 years of hard work, and you're just an investigative journalist. You're not even a fucking academic. How dare you tell me what is actually there?
Yeah.
But anyway, he's put the theory out there that there was a long lost civilization of highly intelligent, possibly different species of human or humanoid on the planet.
Yep.
And they built the pyramids.
I still believe, I believe in humans didn't build the fucking pyramids, but they've been here for a lot longer than 6,000 fucking years, dude.
The pyramids couldn't be built by humans today. That's the fucking curious part.
No, but even in saying that, I don't think they were built by humans whenever the fuck they were built. I've always believed that our race will come and go, and many have come and gone before, man.
Yeah,
that's what I've always believed. We're just another animal. No, we are essentially just another animal, dude.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And animals become extinct.
And
then that's how I've looked at it. And once we're extinct, man, in the scheme of things, as the world would look at it, it would be 3 seconds to the world, but it would be 50,000 fucking years, and then something else will happen, man. That's how I've always believed that, man.
Yeah, well, he puts a pretty strong case together when you actually listen to his evidence. As he thinks that during the last ice age period, which is about 12,000 years ago, there was a mass extinction event.
Yeah.
There's been like something like 9 or 10 mass extinction events that we know of so far.
Yeah, this one they can actually find evidence for it in geological surveys where they have a layer of nuclear glass.
I remember this. This was somewhere in Africa on a cliff face, like a rock face.
There's a lot of other indicators in the US, and they're all over. They're all pretty.
Not to interject, but I think you'll find 90% of the world's ice is actually in Elizabeth and Darren.
It's fucking 32 degrees outside. You got a jacket on and you're sweating. Fucking pimples all over your face. You're a fucking advert, mate.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck. Cool cunts.
I'm pretty sure I just seen penguins in Elizabeth. What do you mean? There's fucking ice everywhere, man.
People skating along the fucking
Just shards.
Oh, dude. But yeah, so you're saying they found this fucking nuclear glass.
Yeah, well, that's just a layer that seems to be curiously throughout the world. He also reckons that the because of the amount of
Was he saying there was a nuclear event?
Well, he's saying that if your water levels were 150 meters lower than they were now.
Yep.
And he showed a map of like how much more land would be exposed around the world, especially around Jakarta and Indonesia and that area there. That pretty much turns into a land bridge almost to Australia. And like the normal claim is for people to say that, say in the US, because everything fucking revolves around those pricks, that they come across the land bridge at Alaska from Europe. And it turns out that he's found evidence or some sort of evidence that points to that there was people there a long time beforehand. Also that the ice there was a long ice age. And it's called 12,000 years ago. It's called the Unger Dryas period, and Earth went through like a meteor shower where all these meteors come into our atmosphere, and rather than actually like some of them didn't hit the planet, but the bigger ones come in and airburst.
Yep.
They come in like an artillery shell, just fuck shit up, and that caused all those ice caps to like snap off at the edge of the there was like a big ice barrier, like there was in Ice Age, the cartoon.
Yep.
They come in and snapped all them off the edge with a shock, blocked out the sun, and flooded the whole world. And if you go back in culture, you look at Noah's Ark is obviously one that a lot of us have heard of because, we grew up in a Western country. But in India, they have similar things about gods that have caused big floods to wipe humanity out. And this.
Oh yeah, I've done a bit of research on the Great Flood, the one that everyone talks about.
Yeah, he's putting all the pieces together, and I think he's got something there. You know what I mean? So,
it's got to be more than 12,000 years ago, though, because like you're talking, what the Aboriginals have been around for 40,000 years.
But that's the thing, like.
Are you saying that like it basically wiped when we had a reset, or
but possibly not.
Not
in the case of the Aboriginal people.
No, that's right.
Look at the size of Australia, and if there was a land bridge between Australia and, say, the southeastern continent, so your India sort of stuff, there was a land bridge almost through there with the amount of water that wasn't thing. So all that thought of the Aboriginal people coming over in boats, like the Samoans, those fuckers are something stupid, crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Like, and
we are the traveling people, man.
Yeah, like those guys are nuts. That's why they're such big people. But
you watch so much fucking Moana, man.
That's right, dog.
I just see Gav on a boat, fucking standing at the front, just going, what is it? On my way. I don't fucking know.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but there's definitely a case for that as well.
But I mean, like the Aboriginals, they've definitely fucking been here for 40,000 years.
Oh, no doubt. They've got actual evidence.
If the water was high, like I'm pretty sure they fucking said that they found cockle shells and shit in the fucking desert before.
We were supposed that was when we were looking at the. I can't think what they're called, anthropites or whatever they are from 120 million years ago.
Yeah, the trilobites.
Trilobites,
shit,
they're the ones, yeah. So that was where they found the shells because, the old Simo Desert and all of that was pretty much under fucking water.
Yeah, man.
Well, if you can imagine a big a cosmic event like that hitting the northern part of the world, snapping off all those things, where would everything wash up if not for the Simpson Desert?
Do you know one of the good conspiracy theories I've heard, actually very much related to this, is that Earth wasn't ever the third planet from the sun? So the one that I heard was they called it the Planet X and the dinosaurs is what they called it. So Nibiru and the dinosaurs, Earth, or Tiamat as it's called back then in Babylon, Sumerian and Incan, they said that the Earth was in the fifth planet between Mars and Saturn, where the asteroid belt is, and there was a collision with either a big asteroid or they say, well, the conspiracy says, in relation to Planet X or Nibiru. And then it actually took Earth quite a long time to resettle into its orbit around the sun after being knocked around from this impact, and where it settled was in between where are we, Mars and Venus and that, so what they said is because of you got one of the things I liked about it, I don't actually know anything about this one, but one of the things that I liked about it was they said in relation to, they sort of compared it with bees today. You know how bees aren't supposed to fly because of their size and all of that sort of stuff, their wing ratio versus their weight and their size. With pterodactyls back in whenever they were around, they were a 200-300 pound bird with 60-foot wingspans with bones in them that are so fragile and so small that if they try to fly in today's gravity, it would just break their bones and their wings. But if we were systematically placed in relation to the fifth planet, we'd actually have a lower gravity pull and all of that side of things. It was interesting, and that's where they said, I don't know if it was the Ice Age hit, when that actual hit happened, they said the Marialta Trench and that part of the Earth, if you actually drain the water out, it's got a big scar going through it.
Mm. Yeah.
And what they said is the Ice Age was why we were still trying to find our orbit back to, in Earth's location. We're out in the cold for a little bit. And they say that Planet X or Nibiru is a water planet, like a brown dwarf water-based planet, because they said if Earth in the current planets lineup, we should be too close to the sun to have the volume of water that we do, because there wasn't always an atmosphere.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere is the big one.
Well, the atmosphere is what locks it in and creates our weather patterns and all of that now.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was never sort of that thick. And if water was on top of Earth and all, on top of Australia and all of that, we're probably actually, besides the ice caps and all of that sort of stuff melting, and they're talking about the sea rise now. But if the sea was rising now, there would have been a shitload more water back millions and millions of years ago as well.
Well, it would have been frozen. And maybe the event threw enough dust and shit into the atmosphere, combined with the water and all the other crap going on, that it created the atmosphere.
I like the flat earthers when we're talking about water and that.
Yeah,
I like how they have a flat plate and then they tip the water on it, and then they tip the water on the outside of the bowl and the water just falls off. See, there can't be water on it.
Yeah, it's an interesting cult, and
But
that's
like you said, people like the Samoans, they didn't believe that shit because they just kept sailing, man. They did not give a fuck about hitting the edge of the world, man.
No, I reckon they were the world's first explorers. I mean,
yeah, man.
Imagine setting off from the shit that they did and just going, just going. I can imagine
on a fucking catamaran, bro.
We'll be
in
back,
a fucking grass skirt.
Take it easy, eh?
Grab the chook, bro. Hey, Sully, Grab that chook, bro. We're going for a swim.
That's why they're so relaxed these days. It's because nothing can fucking phase them.
Yeah, because they got it all out their system back then.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I wouldn't want to be a Samoan heading towards fucking Antarctica, like just in a grass skirt, fucking negative 40 degrees.
Fuck, man.
Oh, the nipples. Jesus.
Oh, like icicles fucking every time you piss.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's on Netflix. It's worth a watch. There's a lot of other ones. Have you ever heard of Operation Mockingbird?
No.
Name rings a bell. That's
It's
a while
actually-
ago, wasn't it? That was like 1940 or something?
In the 80s and 90s.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
actually confirmed true.
This was the one I was thinking of was after the World War II. I think it was 45, 46 when the US sent soldiers down to Antarctica. Because the next...
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I don't know about that one. Yeah. No, this one's actually a true one that the CIA and whatnot, the other three-letter things in the US have been using the media.
The Fibby.
Yeah, but they've been using the media to brainwash people.
100%, man.
It's actually true.
No, it definitely is, man. That's... But like that's what I was going to say before when you were talking about the media. Like, they had a lot of power when the World Trade Center went down.
Oh, yeah.
And as much as the media is losing their power now, I believe that the damage is fully done. Like, it's so fucking ingrained in the fact, like, people hate Muslims. Like, it's so fucking retarded. Like,
No, I don't
dude.
think it's quite that much.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
I do.
Well, there's probably a little bit of fucking justified shit going on there because, they don't necessarily fit with Western culture.
Muhammad Ali was a Muslim.
Yeah, but he was a converted Muslim. Like, if you want to talk, if you talk about someone who's come straight over from Afghanistan, the culture gap's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can sympathise with them, man. Like,
but what about the IRA? What were they?
Yeah, well, that's
right.
like going. That's
fucking
like going,
white people, Westerners.
Yeah, didn't they do some good shit? But
But hey, Biden would be a fucking Catholic or something too, isn't he?
Oh, Biden would be anything you fucking want him to be, by the
That's
sounds.
right.
You got enough money to his campaign. It's you can do what you want. You can even fucking bankrupt the cryptocurrency.
I think religion.
Have you seen the links with that?
No, I haven't. I haven't looked into FTX at all.
All right. So old mate FTX, that fucking fat dude with the weird hair, SBF, I think they call him. I can't remember the prick's name. SBF. His mother. No, SBF.
Clive Palmer. Call him Ankles because he's less than a cunt.
Go on. SBF, come on.
But his mother is a confirmed member of the Democratic Party who did operations Get Out the Vote. She started all those things. His auntie works for the Security Exchange Commission in the US, really high up.
Yeah, right.
His lecturer at college works for one of his lecturers, the professor at the college, is now the president or the operating person at the Security Exchange. And he's professor, he's linked to the Security Exchange, the Democratic Party. He was the second biggest donor to the Democratic Party in the midterm elections under George Soros. There's another prick we need to talk
He did. It was something like 40 million or something he put into the campaign, wasn't it?
$40 million. I
read about that one.
To the Biden campaign in 2021?
Yeah.
No, Biden campaign in 2020, $40 million to that campaign alone. All up, he's donated $1.1 billion to the Democratic Party.
Mm.
He's also had President Zelensky of Ukraine.
Oh, man. That dude's an angel.
Yeah, but he had him hooked in and all of Ukraine hooked in with this FTX thing too. So what they're investigating now, which is something that a lot of people have been questioning for a long time, is that the US will turn around and say, yes, Ukraine will give you $60 billion. The same as what they did in Iraq. The same as what they did in Afghanistan. We'll give you $60 billion to do what you need to do. So they give them the $60 billion. And all of a sudden, all these NGOs or non-governmental organizations like the George Soros Group, which is run by his son, I can't really remember, but they all turn up in your country and they start saying, we'll help you out, and this, that, and the other. And then through this crypto thing, they've managed to launder the money. So the US taxpayer dollars are going to the Ukraine, $60 billion worth. And the Biden campaign and himself and the Democratic Party are getting back hundreds of millions of dollars.
Of course. Because
fucking crazy, isn't it?
They can't launder that sort of money through a fucking, like a laundromat or something. So
I was going to say
they need to shuffle it through. You would look at it like Ukraine is a mechanical workshop, and you launder your money through there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the UK
man.
is doing exactly the same. Cheney did the same thing, as well as Biden, it turns out, and his brother did the same thing in Iraq. They got Biden's brother and his son got a contract in Iraq to build, I think it was 50,000 or 500,000 homes. They built none.
Yeah.
Just pop it over cash.
It was a couple of $1 billion fucking contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like half an hour, half on completion. Oh, fuck it, I'll just take the half an hour. See how it goes.
But then, like, and the other thing is, like, that it all ties into war and that, and war generates the economy, and the people who own the fucking arms companies are people like the Rothschilds and the Soros.
But it's funny, the ones that lose the war generally have benefited the most. If you have a look at for example, Germany and well, not recent wars, because we won't count Iraq and Afghanistan in those. Well, technically, Afghanistan won.
Well, Afghanistan got a bigger and better army out of it,
and they won. Because they kicked the US out, didn't they?
But they got a whole bunch of fucking shit that the US left, like military Humvees and tanks.
And Vietnam, they won. So, like a couple of farmers with pitchforks.
They did win.
They won. But, like, if you have a look at, like, Japan, even Germany after World War II to today, they've become pretty big economic powers. Like Japan in their technology sector, because they couldn't focus on building armies and building wars until recently.
But that's where you learn. I just got my ass kicked at this. I'm going to focus on something else.
Yeah, that's right. And they've done that exceptionally well. Actually, one thing I was going to say, because while we're talking about Ukraine and all of that, Zelensky is quite adamant that the S-300 that was used for anti-missile defense that landed and killed 2 farmers in Poland definitely wasn't his. It had to be Russians.
Oh. Yeah, I know. Isn't it weird?
But he's actually gone against like NATO when they said it's all right. If you were sending them to defend your country, it's okay. He's like, no, I will not accept that they're Ukrainians. They're definitely Russians.
Yeah, he can't admit that.
It's making more of a, like, Poland and the Americans are like, well, fuck you, man.
I think Putin is just trying to drag this out as long as he can so people start to open their eyes as to who this motherfucker is.
If you saw in the news prior to 2022 February, anything you ever saw about Ukrainians was Azov and the Nazism and all that, and the fascism and all that in Ukraine. It's funny that now the glory to, like, Slava Ukraine, or glory to Ukraine, which is the same message that they when they were supporting Germany against Poland in World War II. That's the same, exactly the same.
Everyone forgets back in 2014.
Oh, with Crimea.
No. Do you remember the revolution?
Fuck no.
No,
I was never.
I remember when like Crimea was taken in 2014 by Russia.
Yeah, it wasn't too long after that. But
There was a revolution afterwards. Is that in
No,
what
the revolution happened. The revolution happened before. This is what sparked everything off. It was 2012 or 2014.
2014 was 9 years ago. That means I was 26, man. Yeah. I couldn't give a flying fuck what was going on in Ukraine when I was 26.
Yeah, but back then, guess who was in power?
It was the I can't remember. It wasn't like
Obama Biden.
Oh, but he's a really nice first black president, man. He couldn't have done anything wrong.
Obama, Biden, and Hillary was the Secretary of State.
Oh, Hillary.
Hillary. What is it? Hillary 13 or something they call her?
Yeah. I just want to say before I proceed any further on this, I'm not contemplating suicide in any way, shape, or form.
Disclaimer.
She was the Secretary of State. Obama was the Obama, they used to call him. He had more drone strikes than any other president. Joe Biden was the vice president.
This was 9 years ago, and he still couldn't string a sentence together.
Absolutely. But you can go back and look at it. There was a revolution that they sponsored and they started in Ukraine because Ukraine had a leader or a president that, not everyone liked, but, it's a president. But in Ukraine, you got to understand, like, one half of the country is like speaks a lot of Russian and consider themselves like almost Russian. And the other half of the country are vehemently Ukrainian, and they clash.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why Donetsk and Luhansk, they called themselves the separate state before all of this started anyway, didn't they?
Yeah, well, this is what started, and the US people backed these so-called Nazi groups into overthrowing the Russian. He was more favorable to Russia.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. He definitely leaned Russian way. And whatever your affiliations or whatever, I don't care. But this is just facts. And they supported a coup and overthrew him. And that's where Zelensky got appointed or elected. I'm doing inverted commas, even though I don't have a camera.
I'll do it for you.
There you go. He was elected, and then there was the war that has been going on pretty much since 2014 that not many people think about, where they had the Ukrainians, and a lot of them were volunteers from their Nazi brigades and stuff like that were boxing in people in Luhansk and Donetsk region and shelling them.
They were shelling for since 2014 to 2022. They were shelling.
And those people in that region, don't get me wrong, those guys are doing exactly the same shit.
Yeah.
And so they were loose.
But don't paint him to be an angel.
Fuck no, there's no angels in war, man.
No.
There's no angels in war.
But that's
so
the
the
thing.
Russians were secretly backing him, and then it got to a point where they couldn't stand up for themselves. So the Russians said, we're going to come in on a special peacekeeping mission. Much like what they did in Syria. And they came into Crimea, and that was the first sign. And that's when everyone was like, whoa, what the fuck?
We just take a whole peninsula and no one in the world really hears about it. Because you got to think back to 2014, like what you said, Gav. Like I remember like there was conflict and tension in the Middle East. So in like Ukraine and not Middle East, but in Europe with Ukraine and Russia. But I don't remember Russians seizing Crimea and it going on the news.
No, I almost think it was an appeasement. That's why it sort of happened. Like the Russians were kicking up stink because if you go back all the way to the fall of the Berlin Wall, there was an agreement with the Russians and NATO at that stage.
I remember all of this.
Germany, France, Spain. No, I don't think it was Spain and Italy. Yeah, Spain and Italy, and the US. There was like 7 countries in NATO. Now there's like fucking 12 or whatever. And they go right up to the Russian border. And there was an agreement with the Russians and the US that the NATO was not to incur.
No, not a foot. Not a foot towards the east. I remember.
So we've talked, me and Matt have talked about this and fucking like everyone can be like, oh, Russia's doing this and that. But they have directly gone against what they said. And
correct.
In the fucking in a world of war, that's it, man. Like, it's rules for engagement, dude. Like, we told you not to do it. So if you say to someone, do not punch me in the face or I'm going to hit you back, and they punch you in the face, if you don't hit them back, then they'll just keep taking everything from you.
They've done it to themselves as well, because America, for example, like when they created NATO, Russia even applied to NATO four different times from 1955 to 1991 at the end when the Soviet fell.
Yep.
But one of the key things, like, you got to obviously have an enemy. But when, like, if you look at all of that, so Russia said, do not take a step to the east. Okay, I think it only took a year before East Germany joined.
Yep. Well, it became Germany then.
Yeah. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, then it came Germany. Yeah. Then it wasn't. Yeah, and it just kept progressing, and then they found out that Ukraine wanted to try and get membership as well, and that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. But one of the key things is, like, each of the fall downs and each of the letdowns here was the United States. So we're not going to go to the east. Okay, you go to the east. We've agreed not to build any more nuclear programs or anything like that. America kept building nuclear, so Russia's like, fuck it, we'll keep building them too.
Yep.
So, like, every sort of step down, and look, don't go into talks with Ukraine, or we'll have to take action. Don't put your missile defense system on Ukraine on Russia's border, or we'll take actions. They didn't listen.
No, it's just the same as if you're looking at two kids in the schoolyard, and one kid draws a line in the sand and says, "Don't step over that line, please," and the kid steps over the line.
Yeah, I warned you.
And then, like, Russia being Russia, they've sort of like drawn another line. It's like, look, in front of the world, and this is what they've done in the UN and stuff like that, and said, like, you can't do this shit. This is the stuff that isn't publicized. When you go and have a look at some of the stuff on the UN, Russia's been screaming to the fucking hill inside
for
of the
years.
UN about this shit. But anyway, so they draw another line, and then the US steps over it, and they're like, well, fuck it, this is it. This is the line, mate. And the US stepped onto it, and they punched them in the fucking face.
Yep.
You poked the fucking bear. You expect to get something fucking bitten off.
No, you poked the dude riding the bear with no shirt on.
With a cigar hanging out of his mouth and a whiskey in the other one.
That's right.
I've got a few Russian mates, and then let me tell you, like, Joe Rogan's right, mate. They're a different type of white people.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
They're a different breed.
I can sit down and drink vodka straight, and I can guarantee you a lot of people fucking can't. It's not always a good thing, man. You take it out of the freezer and you drink it straight. It's like drinking chili oil, cunt.
Yeah, with a bit of cucumber as a tracer, mate.
Yeah. They're a different breed, man.
Yeah. So I can fully understand what they're doing. And when you start explaining that to some people, they're like, oh, I don't get it.
No, because they watch too much TV, man.
That's that media manipulation if we go back to Operation Mockingbird. And you can see it everywhere. If the media don't like something, even like the best sign was when Trump was in power.
Oh, Trump. Yeah, when 9/11 happened, like the news afterwards was terror,
Yeah.
just installing that into your head.
Yeah. And then you go and ask people now, what about Tower 7?
Oh, yeah. The only building that ever collapsed by fire.
What's
in a simulated like collapse.
Yeah.
No, Tower 7 wasn't. Wasn't even fucking.
It was never hit by a plane. It was on the same block.
No.
Tower 1, Tower 2 fell down from the planes. Tower 7 collapsed like 6 hours later from a fire, apparently.
Yeah, but then the Pentagon had damage to the building, but there was no plane.
Correct. And also the one that crashed in the paddock, and there was no plane either, just a couple of flakes of metal.
Yeah, there was no wreckage.
But we found a guy's passport there, though.
Yeah.
No metal ever existed. But
lo and behold, he had the same colour of skin as me. So
lo and behold, I believe like one of the guys that was put up.
A black passport was in the Stop it.
Hang on, let me tell the truth here. That motherfucker couldn't afford a passport. That's the problem.
Black people flying in planes. Jesus, stop it.
Well,
Ain't no bloody black person flying a plane. He was driving a fucking Escalade with 34-inch rims, listening to hip hop.
they
He ain't
spinning
flying a fucking plane.
with spinning rims.
Mm-hmm. They still spinning.
They
Nigga.
still spinning. I put 22s on my toaster.
Man, he ain't flying no fucking plane.
No,
None of them
but like
gingerbread
I
men
remember
were.
when they first put up all the faces of the guys, and one of them was still alive. He's like, "Oh, why is my face on the TV saying I died in the hijacking?"
And then he's doing a Twitch stream, and you see Hillary Clinton behind him.
It just drops from the ceiling down. Like Mission Impossible style.
Incy Wincy Spider.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting one, and I think it was it 20 billion went missing from the Pentagon, same office that the plane crashed into. Donald Rumsfeld was supposed to answer for that, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, where they
the whole
hit,
insurance thing fucking
where they
takes me.
hit on the Pentagon was something that was being currently invested against. Investigated. Yeah, there was something
internal
Yeah.
investigation,
and that one section of the fucking Pentagon is where the cruise missile hit. Oh, I'm sorry, airplane.
yeah,
My bad.
Yeah,
and it
there's
looks
no
like,
way.
it
Even
looks
though
like
the footage on
airplane-
the even if you see,
just went into it like a car.
yeah, if you see the CCTV footage, it's a fucking cruise missile.
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
it's not a plane, for fuck's sake.
Even a Cessna's not that big.
No.
But like, and sadly, because you got all those people that fucking died in the buildings,
Mm.
but they're so twisted with fucking hatred and sadness that if you tell them it was a conspiracy, they fucking just go to lynch you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then if you remind them of something like Operation Northwoods, which is another declassified CIA operation to invade Cuba, where they were going to crash a passenger jet,
Yeah. The plan was all the same.
and then for the Marines and whatnot to invade. And
Yeah.
that's and Kennedy was supposed to expose that.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the reason why he got fucking knocked out.
How's that fucking Epstein painting
Well,
that he
what-
had on his wall of a young George Bush playing with toy planes and a Jenga fucking thing? Did you see that?
Yeah, did you see the one with Bill Clinton with him in a dress?
No.
Yeah,
So
mate.
this is what I mean. So
There's a lot.
Dude, you want
There's a
to
lot.
start going down this rabbit hole, mate? Have you seen some of the pictures that were hanging in John Podesta's house?
hang on a sec. Fucking just touch on a heap of shit, but then every fucking now and then we'll get him to come and do one, and we'll
Once
pick
there's a
something.
specific topic, like if something
Yeah.
like Epstein hits the news, man,
We'll
then
pick
you're
something
coming
and
back.
oh yeah, fuck
And
yeah.
we'll be like, okay, talk. Let's deep dive. Let's
Yeah.
deep dive. Tonight's only like a skim across. We need a deep dive into a couple of these subjects. Like for
Yeah.
example, like even aliens. Do you think aliens?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, dude.
I think it's a possibility that they might be the species or the beings that were previous to humans.
Well, I firmly believe
believe it.
I believe the Anunnaki like theory with because you got the Mayans, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, and Sumerians all depicting like half human, half animal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You seen Göbekli Tepe?
oh yeah.
Yeah. That's even older, man. That's like 11 and a half. What was it? Maybe 12, 13,000 years old.
Yeah, but even with the ancient Sumerians, where they found fucking like they actually knew of Pluto 4,000 years ago, and we only found Pluto. Sorry, not Pluto. Was it Pluto? Yeah, Pluto. When in 1970.
But
Yeah,
do you
and-
believe? So let's say there is an earlier race or alien race. Do they have their own version of Elizabeth? Is there some really fucked up units within there? Like,
Oh, you playing
so
the
let's-
reptile people?
So no. So let's say there are these alien race that are so fucking far advanced, but then there's these really fucking shit ones that are still more advanced than us. But they're like, oh, that's those motherfuckers from Davern Park aliens. Like, do you think that they're like, surely
Nah, they would have bred them out by now, surely. Because you got to think, like, if we're here at this current point in time, like, if we met any race, it's got to be at least 1,000 years older. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's 1,000 years, at least, as a minimum.
More.
Up to millions of years more advanced. But even if they're 1,000 years, because if you look at how much we've progressed in 50, imagine what 10 times that or 20 times that, in fact, would look like in 1,000 years' time.
Oh, you're talking about 50 years?
No, I'm talking about, like...
Motherfucker, we was only flying planes
that's what I'm saying.
Years ago.
That's what I'm saying. We're still horse and carts.
That's what I mean.
And that's what it's saying, from 100 to now. So you imagine what another 900 years in the human evolution would look like. Or not necessarily evolution, but technological advancements. Have we outgrown religion at this point? Because we don't actually need we actually understand the fundamentals of the earth and the fundamentals of travel.
I think the problem with that whole thing is the faith thing, man. People need to learn that the faith aspect of religion is really good, but they need to have faith and put that into a different area.
And that's what I find, that if I met an alien today, that's my expectations of meeting that race would be probably that they wouldn't have a god. That there wouldn't be a thing called religion because of the simple fact of they're advanced to the point where they can travel as fast as light or, all of these sort of things. They don't actually need thing to believe in.
The way I look at it,
time-traveling Nazis.
That's but the way I look at it is that these people looked at the aliens as gods because they were the ones that fucking come down from the sky and that. But I just believe that the whole religion thing, the faith aspect of it, if you can blindly believe in something so much, if you put all that energy into yourself and believed in yourself to that level, you would be surprised at the shit that you could achieve.
No, I'm definitely not underestimating the power of faith. What what I'm actually going against is the ideology of one person created all, not one's ability to have faith in a certain end goal or a certain
one person
direction. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you met this civilization 1,000 years, 2,000, 100,000 years in the future, or futurely more advanced than us, in 1,000 years, do you think the evolution, like the point of technological advancements, because our science and our medical and all of this is increasing day by day, yeah? In 1,000 years, what do we think that will look like? Humans living to 200 years old because we've killed cancer, we've got all this sort of stuff. Do they then need to believe that there's going to be an afterlife?
I don't think you'll be able to slow down the degradation of yourselves, man. I think
not the degradation. I think that's always going to be a key. I think.
Would you want to live to 200 at the ability of a 90-year-old man?
Well, as a goldfish, no.
No.
And that's the thing. Like,
what technology are they sitting on?
Well, I'm sitting on a gaming chair made by
and it's
Asus ROG,
and it definitely hasn't got the arch support needed for the curvature in my spine.
No, but I'll tell you what it doesn't have: a fucking ashtray. I'm going to have a dart.
All right, BRB.
All right.